Today I'm going to be doing a book talk about The Fifth Wave by Yancey. The Fifth Wave is a book about an alien invasion and the main character, Cassie Sullivan's struggles through this alien invasion. It's a sci-fi and dystopian book, and it's the first book in a 3-book trilogy. And I really enjoyed the book for a few different reasons. I really love the plot, the characterization, and the perspective. And I'm just going to talk a bit about those. First, the plot. The first thing that happens in this alien invasion is where the main character, Cassie, is at her school. And she suddenly sees all the lights go out, and all the cars start to pile up on the highways, and a few jets crash in the distance. Everyone's phones and computers are fried. They stop working, and everyone starts to panic. And there's this menacing mothership glowing down from them, at them from the Earth's orbit. Now, the first part of this alien invasion barely killed any people, but it completely ruined all the communication that everyone had through the internet and the web, and that was the first major setback. And there were many more struggles that the humans and Cassie had to face throughout the series. And another scene that we're showed that another scene that we see is when they're at this refugee camp, when Cassie, her father, and her brother Sam Sullivan are at a refugee camp, and all of a sudden these buses show up, and these buses are going to take all the children to this Air Force base, and everyone is so happy that they're finally going to be rescued. Now, at the time, Cassie is 16 and her brother Sam is 6, and so they decide to take Cassie at the camp and keep her at the camp, and Sam gets to go on the school buses, and that was the last time Cassie thought she was going to be able to see Sam. And so, for the entire plot of the book is Cassie trying to save Sam, and that's pretty much the entire focus of the book. And then she's pretty much stranded at this refugee camp with nowhere to look for Sam, and so everything's going downhill until she meets Evan Walker, who's this guy who takes care of Cassie, and he's really gentle, and Evan's very mysterious, and I really like how the character of Evan and a few other characters are revealed throughout the whole story. And one way that they're all revealed is through the perspective. The perspective is first person limited in the present tense, and so you're kind of in the driver's seat with the characters, trying to figure out what everybody else is like and whether or not you should trust them. And I really liked how this first person perspective really allowed you to feel what the characters are feeling, and as the characters develop, feel the different feelings that the characters have, and especially when there are more shocking characteristics revealed. And it's kind of like peeling back the layers of an onion, when you're not really sure what to expect out of these people, and then suddenly more layers peel back, and then you have all these different traits to deal with. And so that's how the perspective really involves the reader, and I really like how it felt like you were part of the book. And that was that's one of the reasons I really love the Fifth Wave. And something that I didn't really like with the perspective at first was how there are multiple narrators, and at first this was kind of confusing to me, and I didn't really understand that there were multiple narrators, but later on toward the book you can see how it's more significant, and how if you didn't have multiple narrators you wouldn't really be able to see the same things that the different narrators were seeing. And so that's one of the things with the perspective that made me really like the book. And something else that I really liked about the book was the relationship between Evan and Cassie. And at first we don't really see too much of Evan, just kind of him caring for Cassie. But then later on, stuff starts to get more complicated, and everything starts to kind of get messy, and people start questioning, like, if these aliens are gonna kill them all, what's the point of even living? And I think one of the most important lines of the book is when Evan told Cassie that before Evan met Cassie, he was trying to figure out how to hang on and how to keep living, and he thought that was to find something to live for. And he told Cassie that the only way that he's still hanging on is by finding something to die for. I think that's true with all of us, how if we're always searching for something to live for, we're never truly living. And if we truly find something we can die for, then that's truly living. Some of the things that I found that I would like to see some more of in the book were some of the technology that the aliens brought to Earth. The author, Rick Yancey, didn't really go too far in detail about the technology that the aliens used, and being a nerd, I would have kind of liked to see some more of that. And one other thing is just, I was wondering why they chose Earth, and I thought it would be pretty meaningful if the author had gone into more detail about how the aliens found Earth, or how they chose Earth, or maybe why they wanted to come to Earth. But those were pretty much the only two complaints that I had. The rest was amazing. And so I would recommend this book to anyone who loves sci-fi, thriller, dystopian books. Some of the books action too. Some of the books that would kind of fall into these categories are like Star Wars, Star Trek, The Hunger Games, Divergent, and maybe a few other of the other books of that sort. But anyone who loves that kind of book will definitely enjoy the series. I know I did. And this book, The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey, is the first in the trilogy, and I look forward to reading the other books and doing more reviews on those.